Thank you, and thank you, Jeff, and the Western Dakota Energy Services Organization for all the work that you do in promoting energy. I did notice, Jeff, the walls are black. Is this to promote coal here? And the lights are dim to save energy. So here we go. Looks like the forward one is wore off. Reese will probably be covering some of the same things, so I'll be brief on this, but just to give you a picture that the North Dakota Transmission Authority is one of 16 pieces of pie in the Industrial Commission's purview. Those green on the right there are grant programs, and Reese put this together actually, so the little dots there show that there's committees on those. But for the Transmission Authority, we're at the top of the pie there to the left, and the Pipeline Authority, we do not have any committee support, but work closely with the Industrial Commission. In fact, the way Reese has directed us to write everything is it's the Industrial Commission acting in its capacity as a transmission authority. So we're a statutory agency. And our purpose is really to facilitate the development of transmission infrastructure in North Dakota, supporting build out or acquisition, or we actually have one loan, and that's for the DC line that goes from Coal Creek to Minneapolis. So we can own, operate, sell, buy. We can do a lot of things. We have a lot of liberty with the way the statute is written. As for me, I participate in regional grid meetings and so forth, and we provide annual reports and assist with studies on the grid reliability. Just a message, and Reese or Jonathan might go into these in more detail, but to let you know that the Industrial Commission, state leadership, and the North Dakota Public Service Commission are very engaged in fighting back on these multitude of agency attacks on our industries, whether it's coal, oil, or gas. Here is 8 that are circled that have to do, including things like the MATS rule, the final carbon rule, or the greenhouse gases. I worked with Jonathan at the Lignite Council and with the Attorney General's office in putting together studies on the impact of these on the grid earlier this year, and just want to give my hats off to Jonathan, especially for his help for me on those projects. North Dakota is home to 2 regional transmission authorities, and the one is MISO, which is the blue area to the east and south, but covers North Dakota. Primarily, these are the investor-owned utilities: Otter Tail Power, MDU Resource Utilities, XL Energy, and also Dakota Power are participants in MISO, where the Basin Electric Cooperatives and Western Area Power Administration are participants in SPP, or the Southwest Power Pool. So we have 2 representatives in our state. Ooh, what happened here? Oh. Power outage. Okay, yeah, that's right. So the Transmission Authority has been very concerned about grid reliability. We've been sounding the alarm since 2018. I began working with the Transmission Authority in the fall of 2021. But this graph is one that is very concerning, is that even though we've been adding lots of capacity, the accredited capacity, or the power that's available, or capacity that's available, is actually declining. So, of course, what that the line of increasing capacity speaks to the wind energy, which has a large capacity, but it is not always available. Even on the windy day there last Saturday, then they're shut down. So anyway, this is very concerning. We need to keep every coal plant and every baseload generation system online because of our increasing load. I've seen some positive things across the country in that you see Long Island, the nuclear plant, they're going to restart that. They're going to restart the other Palisade plant in Michigan. And so we just need to make sure that we keep our coal plants here in North Dakota on and across the country. So we've noticed that there's an increasing, growing frequency of grid emergency events. There were 0 in 2016 and 48 last year. Right now, today, we are in a conservative mode. And I imagine that what has happened over time is that we have less percentage of base load plants, and maybe Gavin will talk about this, but the time that they have to work on their plants or to do maintenance in spring and fall is getting compressed. So they need to make sure that they're operating well in our winter peaks and our summer peaks. So anyway, their timeline for getting their maintenance done is getting tightened up, and that creates conservative operations in the RTOs. So there's a Midwest Reliability Organization, and this is our concern, is if there was that yellow area, is if there was worse than normal weather, or I can't remember exactly how they describe that, but greater weather events, that this area is in a reliability assessment alert. So what that means is that the capacity is tight. So this was for winter of 2024, and this summer SPP was in better shape, but MISO had a risk area for this past summer. We'll soon get the risk analysis for winter of 2025, but I don't expect that to look any better than last year. So this is, again, kind of another message. This is from NERC, the North American Electric Reliability Corporation. So looking over the whole United States and Canada, is in the 10 years from 2012 to 2022, the amount of capacity is actually decreased, or generation capacity is decreased, and while down there below the load has increased by 3%. So you can't decrease capacity and have load growth very long before you're in trouble. And as you know, there's a lot of potential load growth with AI data centers, as well as our own energy industry here in western North Dakota. So this cannot continue. This is why we need to keep our coal plants on and build more baseload generation. There are some good things happening in North Dakota with respect to transmission. Basin Electric is building the line from Roundup to Johnson's Corner, the Cummer Ridge line, this fall, and Gavin indicated that they were spared fire damage on this project, which is good to hear, but they've been really pushing it and hope to get this line on this year. And of course, maybe Gavin's going to cover these too, but the line around the east side of the Lake Audubon from Leland Olds to Tioga is really going to beef up the system, the 345 system in western North Dakota. And then they have the two lines going up to Saskatchewan, a 50-mile line and a 60-mile line. And then they've installed STATCOM at Newtown. So this is good news for western North Dakota, but we need to keep we not only need transmission, but we need generation to put the electrons into those. And Gavin, I'm sure, will talk about their Pioneer Station and their other projects. This line here is called the JetX project, and it's in service state. This is an MDU and Otter Tail project from Jamestown to Ellendale, and that really makes another 345 loop in eastern North Dakota, northern South Dakota, and western Minnesota. This one they hope to have in service in 2028. They've had some hiccups here with the lands, the Planning and Zoning Commission in Stutsman County, and the Stutsman County Commission is soliciting input on this project. The Planning and Zoning Commission suggested that maybe there should be a 2,600 foot setback from rural residences, which even in rural North Dakota is a long ways and would make it almost impossible to do projects. So we're watching this closely and supporting as we can. But this will be a big boost for eastern North Dakota. And then the modernization project, Minnesota Power Elite, they are putting both ends of the AC to DC conversion stations on. They're updating those, and it'll increase the capacity of this line from Center to Duluth from 550 megawatts to 900 megawatts, and with the potential to get up to 1,500 megawatts. So a very good project to enhance this line, increase its capacity. And then there's a JTIQ project, Joint Targeted Interconnection Queue, and this is a line that's proposed in eastern North Dakota that goes down to Big Stone Plant, Otter Tails Power's plant in South Dakota. It's another 345 kV line. Will be very helpful. They got a huge grant from the DOE, $465 million or so. I can't remember the exact number, but this one is slower than we would like it to be. They don't believe it'll be in service till 2034. And then another huge line is the North Plains Connector that goes from Colstrip, Montana to St. Anthony, North Dakota, and then up to Center, North Dakota. So this line will connect the west with MISO and SPP, and it has a capacity to move 3,000 megawatts either direction. A nice addition to our part of the country. There are plans for those all the way down the 4 or 5 more DC connections to the south across the United States. This one is 400 miles long, and like I said, it's 3,000 megawatts of capacity, and their thought is to split half of it into MISO and half into SPP. In-service date of 2032, they received a $700 million DOE grant, and they also helped get some grants for the city of Amadon and Mott, that about $15 million, if I remember right. Correct, Reese? So that one's exciting for North Dakota to make connections. We are working on a study with EERC, the North Dakota Transmission Authority, and the EERC is doing a study to assess the landscape, the infrastructure in our evolving energy landscape. So all of this talk about data centers and AI, which we'd like to locate here rather than in China, as well as our growth in the oil and gas industry. So what we're doing is doing a whole study of the state to see where do some modeling to see where load growth can occur the most efficiently, and then looking at the resource adequacy and the grid reliability as you add this kind of mega load to the system. So we hope to have that study completed, led by the EERC in August of 2025. So we'll have that report for you next year. That's all I have to share with you, but keep the coal plants on and build more baseload generation and help us build transmission. Thank you.